Hi guys, Danny here, and welcome to part 2 of my review of Factorization. In this part, I will be going over all of the socket machines and also the ceramic sculpture. Okay, so let me get started with the machines. The socket block. The socket block is the most important part of the entire socket machines because it is the part that holds the actual machine. To equip a socket with any tool, you just right click on it, and some tools won't be installed right away, so you need to install a motor. The ones that require a motor also require a charge to function. Okay, so first we have the robotic arm. The robotic arm is a socket tool that right clicks from the backing inventory, and it can click on blocks and entities. Now if the item doesn't seem to do anything, then the arm will try from different angles, and it'll continue throughout each item in its backing inventory until it finds something that it can use. And as you can see here, it doesn't require any charge. So I have the robotic arm there, and there's the backing inventory. So say I threw down that clay, hit the button, nothing happens because it can't do anything with the clay. But say I threw down all of the silver ore, there we go, it placed down the silver ore. So let me just hit this lever here, which will start this other machine, the lacerator. Okay, so like I said, I can just right click on the button and it will place down the block itself, and it ignores the clay. Let me throw down that guy. Okay, here we go, it's throwing down the clay. There we go, it used the egg to spawn a cow, but the cow isn't too close to the lacerator, so let me just, there we go. Come on, go. Okay. So as you can see, it's just randomly picking from the inventory and placing items. So it's just placing the ores, place down the cow ones. Okay, yeah, there you go, that is the robotic arm. Okay, next we have the lacerator. The lacerator is the tool here, and to place it, first you need a motor and diamond cutting head, which you can see here. The motor is the gray bit and the diamond cutting head is the spinny bit. Now you do actually require charge for this, so I have this Leyden jar here and this lead wire going up to the lacerator. Now any mob that steps in front of the blades will get killed, like you saw with the cow. And mobs killed in this way have a very small chance of dropping XP. The lacerator will also break blocks that are in front of it, like you saw with the ores. The amount of times it takes to break the block depends on the block's hardness, and two lacerators facing each other with a block in between will break the block faster, obviously. And many blocks that will be broken down when mined by the lacerator, for example smooth stone, will become cobble, iron ore will become dirty iron gravel. So while I was throwing down the silver ore, it actually became dirty silver gravel, which you guys will see in a second. Now the really important bit, the lacerator cannot break down barrels. Instead it will actually process the content of the barrels. So what you can do is you can throw down a barrel with loads of ore in front of the diamond cutting head and it will do its thing. Now items dropped by the killed entities, item drops by killed entities and broken blocks will be put inside of the internal buffer, which will be drained into the backing inventory. So if I look into this inventory here, you can see cobblestone. I was just breaking down blocks before, so that's from that. Also the cows got killed and turned into leather and raw steak, and finally some dirty silver gravel, which was from the silver ore that got processed. So if we have a look at the amount of dirty silver gravel, there you go, it increased, so that's pretty cool. Now what I can also do is throw down some cobble, and we can see that it got turned into gravel, and I can put that one more time and it gets turned into sand. So like I said, different items will be broken down into other things. So let me just throw away the dirty silver gravel for a second and have a look at this one more time. Okay, we saw it got doubled there. Now this is a really important part because you can use the lacerator to process ore. One way is the slag furnace, but like I showed you guys, it isn't that efficient because there's only a very small chance that it will be doubled But as you can see from the lacerator, it's a 100% chance to be doubled. Okay? But it doesn't just have to stop there. What you can do with the silver gravel is you can wash it with just water and it will turn into clean gravel, which you can process further, or you can also directly smelt it to get silver ingots, so you'll be doubling it right away. Or you can put it in a slag furnace and get a 110% chance of getting 2 silver. So that's what, like 1/10 or 10% chance of getting the second one, and you'll also get dirt instead of the smooth stone that you got from processing ores directly. But more importantly, what you can do with the clean gravel is you can just smelt it right away, like everything else, or you can put it inside of a slag furnace and have a bigger chance of getting more. So as you can see, it went from 110 to 125. Same with the lead chunks. Or you can smelt it right away, and what you can do with the silver chunks then is you can obviously smelt it, or you can also put it in a crystallizer to get a bigger chance of getting more. As you can see, 120%, so it actually does add up, so you can get up to 3 or 4 from one ore, so that's pretty cool. Let me just try that one more time, because I actually love the way this looks. The block animations are absolutely brilliant. There we go. Pretty cool. And like I showed from the start, you can also give it a redstone signal to stop it. So there you go, it's not processing it. And the barrels, so if I was to get this, get a barrel. Okay, this is the only barrel I have, so it's fine. Throw that down there. And then get the silver ore and place it down here. What we should see happening is you should be able to see that the ore itself gets processed, and because this doesn't need time to charge up like when I was placing the ores individually, this will continue at quite a good speed. So there we go. Okay, next we go on to a very important tool, the item shifter. The item shifter is a socket tool that moves items to and from a block behind it to an inventory in front of it, such as a furnace, a minecart with a chest, or a servo. And that's what makes it super important, because of the servo thing. And you can configure it with a few different settings using the LMP, which is the Logic Matrix Programmer. The direction of the item flow can be controlled using the LMP. By default, items are moved from the exporting inventory into the other. Now, there are a few operating modes that I will be talking about, but we'll have a look at that when I actually show you guys what the GUI looks like. Okay, you have it in this kind of setup, or you can also have it with the servo. And I have this set up right here. Okay, so I have the chest here, which is the backing inventory, and I have the item shifter here. You don't require the motor for this, as you can see, no little gray block and no latent jars, supplying it with charge. I have this minecart with a chest going back and forth. And I also have this little block here, the detector rail, that gives it a redstone signal, because this requires a redstone signal to function. Okay, what I'm going to do is get a Logic Matrix Programmer. Okay, then you can just right click the item shifter with the programmer and you come to this little GUI. Now you can do various things with it. You can control its flow direction, import to back, or export from back. If I go to export from back, you can see that the cobble is moving from the chest to this chest here, so we can see it increasing every time it passes that detector rail. Okay, and like I said, import or export. We also have stream single item, pulse exact amount, or pulse sum amount. So stream single item will be every time it runs over, it'll give 1. Pulse exact amount will depend on how much amount you have set up here, and finally sum amount will be just as much as it can take up. So it's passing quite quickly, so it's still just only 1. So let me go to pulse exact amount and go to 64. Okay, I don't have 64, so that's not working. But if I do this, will this work? There you go. It put in the 64 in one go, so there we have it. If I get that out, put that in there, that in there, do that. Okay, there we go. So like you guys saw, You can also target any slot, so now it's in any slot. Okay, now I put the target slot to 25, so what it's doing is it's searching the slot 25, which is the slot here, and placing the item every time it goes over the detector rail. So there you go, it's completely customizable. You can do anything you want with it. I'm just going to go to import to back, so it goes back inside of this chest. Just going to put that there. Okay, so that should do its own thing. Okay, next we have the screw pump. The screw pump is used to transfer liquids from behind it to in front of it. If there's any body of liquid behind it, it'll drain it from behind it and put it in front of it. This is the important bit. It can also drain from tanks, so you can just use tanks from different mods, and you can take liquids out of it or put liquids into it using the screw pump. If there's a tank in front of the screw pump, then it will fill the tank. Otherwise, it'll flood into the empty space up to 7 blocks above the screw pump, and any tanks that are in the flooding area will be filled. So I have the screw pump here and a long line of free space. So what I'm going to do is get some water bucket, and get some lava. Okay, like that. I'm just going to put the water behind it. Okay, and we saw that it got removed. And where did it get placed? Okay, there we go. Took some time, but did it. Next I'm going to put some lava. Okay, it took away the lava and put it there. We can see that it's going from block to block, so the first one was put there, the second one was put there, the third one was put there, and the next one should be. Okay, it placed it on top. Okay, let me just go to water next, so this doesn't destroy everything. Okay, unfortunately, because I mixed the lava and the water, my setup over there was broken. But I can still show this, so I'm just going to flood the entire behind it with the water, and it should drain all of it if you just give it enough time. Okay, still going, and there's space. So, come on. Okay, there you go. I took that one there, and that one there, that one there, and finally the one directly behind it, and now it should be filling all these slots up. And there we go. And lastly, we have the Pressurizer. The Pressurizer is a socket tool that blows entities, and similar to the lacerator, it has to be placed on a motor. So just like the lacerator, it requires charge. With an LMP, you can configure whether it sucks or blows and how fast it operates. Faster speed requires more charge, so you have to be careful about that. If it's blowing, then it can drop items from a backing inventory, and if it's sucking, it will do the reverse, so it'll suck items into the inventory. And when it's spitting at high speed, it'll also be able to move the players and different mobs, so you can have a setup like this. And you can have the villager just hovering like that, or you can also use it to transport mobs or villagers across a long distance. And like all of the other machines, our redstone signal will disable the pressurizer. So where's my setup? Right here, and in the back inventory I just have some few items. Now this Leyden jar is probably empty. Yeah, that's why it's not working anymore. But if I was to replace that, get the lead wire and fill this up. Okay, we can see that the items are being shot forward, so, or rather that the items are being sucked in. I'm assuming this is in sucking mode. So I'm going to right click and, okay, when sucks is true. I'm going to put that to false. And the fan switches direction and we should see items being shot out. There we go. Gravel just got thrown into the air because of this other pressurizer here that I wanted to show you guys with. That you can also use it to hover. At the moment nothing's happening because I'm in creative, but we can see the items are being thrown out from there and being hovered there. So if I switch this to true, this won't be able to suck the items back because obviously it's in the sky there. But what I can do is if I go here and drop this just there. Okay, I have to do this correctly because the other one will suck it up. Okay, did that suck it up? That got blasted into the air, but I'm pretty sure. Oh no, both of them are here, so there you go. Now what I'm going to do is go into survival, and there you go. I'm up in the air. And all of the items are now in my inventory. Likewise, you can also hover things like cows or chickens or whatever you want. So let me see, cow. Spawn cow. I'm going to get a lot of fall damage from this. So I'm going to go into creative. Spawn cows and it'll be thrown into the air. It'll also work the same for other mobs. So if you get, say, a zombie pigman, it'll also do the same. So there you go. You can use it to create some kind of mob grinder with one of the lacerator if you want. You could do very imaginative things. And like all of the other machines, the animation is really cool. Like when it stops, when it switches direction. I found that really clever. Stop and switch direction. I really like that. It's really cool. Oh no, it's throwing all the items out. It's being sucked up there. Anyways, they can stay up there until the charge runs out, which will be pretty soon because I have to speed up pretty high, especially for this guy. As you can see, it's 3 because the lower speed will actually won't be able to support it. So as you can see, the mobs dropped a little bit, go to 1, and they're all on the ground. So they have to be pretty high up for the fan to be blowing and sucking. So yeah, that was the Pressurizer. Okay, there's also 2 other machines that I want to talk to you guys about. The furnace heater and the crystallizer. At the moment you can't find them in the book, however they're still in the mod. The furnace heater is very important for the next thing, which would be the sculpting. You can use it to, you have to use it rather, to dry the sculpture, but what you also use it is with the crystallizer. The crystallizer, I showed a little bit of this before, is used to get more items from the crystal chunks, sorry, the metal chunks, and you can also see the other things it's used for there. So you throw in a redstone block and you get yourself a blank logic matrix, and in fact this is the only recipe to get it. You have to use a furnace heater to use it, and it takes a surprisingly long amount of time. And as you can see, the aqua regia doesn't get used up, and it's pretty simple to make. Okay, so the recipes, like I said, you throw in a redstone block, you get yourself a blank logic matrix, which is used to make the LMP. You can also throw in some milk and some lime green dye to produce slime balls, and the next bits are what's important. So you can throw in some reduced iron chunks, so reduced chunks from every other metal. And as you can see, if you throw in extra copies, you can get higher yield. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you throw in 5 extra chunks, you get higher chance. As you can see, 120%, so that means there's a 20% chance you're going to get more, and that's just with 1 chunk, and you can add more and you get higher chance. And you can see the recipe works for every single one of the metal, including dark iron. Now I had used this before and I only got 6, so what I'm going to do is show you guys how long it takes. So if I just get 1 chunk, put it there. Okay, first what happens is that it heats up and then it goes through this whole bar and it takes a really long time. Okay, there we go. Alternatively, you can also use more furnace heaters, but that takes more power. Okay, and yeah, that is the crystallizer and the furnace heater. Okay, in the manual, as you can see, I've covered all that, and I'm going to be covering the ceramic sculptures, but I also want to talk about some other things here. So the manual also covers some pretty cool things, like designing some of the logic gates. For example, the ore. You can swivel around little 3D model and see how you make them. The and you can see all of it here. This is actually pretty cool. The XOR rather. toggle latch, which you can make using the robotic arm. That'll automatically flick the lever, which is actually pretty cool. Okay, and the pulse limiter. So it's all contained in the book, so you don't have to go to the Minecraft wiki or don't have to watch a video by, say, Setbling, because it's all self-contained, so it's pretty cool. There's also projects that lists all of the different things you can do with the mod. So you can make a cobble generator, sheep shearing facility, cow feeder, all the way to automated ore processing. So you already have an idea. So you can use the lacerator with the barrel, and then you can use various servos to transport the items across the different things. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I might actually make some of these on camera because these are actually pretty cool. Now there's actually a submod added by Factorization which adds various tweaks and polishes to vanilla Minecraft. You get the /f function, so I think you just do /f help. Sorry, no, /f list, and you can see all of the different functions. So what you can do is you can say f, say coord, and it'll show the coordinates that you're in the chat. There's also this new improved projectile physics that sticks with the laws of motion. So the projectiles will keep the velocity of the thrower, allowing them to conform to Newton's law of motion. So, you know, if you're running and shooting the bow, the arrow will travel faster. Also applies to snowballs, splash bows, and enderballs, all pretty cool things. So it does add pretty cool things. Also buff name tags, so if you give a mob a name with a name tag, it will buff their health, so that's pretty cool as well. And there's also this one bit here, it should be in building. Factorization also adds some vanilla blocks recipes. So as you can see, you can change the block types by crafting them. You can also make flat sandstone with 2 sandstone pillars. You can see all the different things you have to do there. So yeah, Factorization actually adds some pretty cool things, not just machines. Here we go, ceramic sculpture. Now you can actually do a lot of things with sculpting. To start off, what you need to do is place a clay on a wooden slab. Craft clay onto a wooden slab and place it on the ground. It'll give you a single lump of clay. You can also click on the lump of clay with more clay balls and add another lump to it. To remove it, just break it like a normal block, and if you sneak and break the whole thing, you can pick up the entire sculpture. And if you put the sculpture back down, you might find that it faces a different way, but that's just because it always faces you. You also have the sculpting tools, which you use to sculpt it into various things. I'll talk about that while I'm actually using it. Here's the recipes there, and all this I'll also talk about while actually doing it. You can see all the recipes there. So as you can see, I have the sculpture there. If I hold R, you can see the recipe there. So just a clay on a slab, and I'm just going to get a clay and a crafting table. Okay, I'm going to use one of these pocket crafters. Now what I can do is add more pieces of clay to it, and it'll just make it bigger, as you can see there. I can also break them, just like breaking a normal block. I'm in creative, so let me go to survival to show you guys that it worked the same way. Just get a pickaxe. Okay. There we go. I get back the clay. I can put it down somewhere else. And I can also break the whole thing and it'll just come right off. So here we go. You can see the current project there. I can just place it down and I can break it one more time. So okay, there we go. The clay got there. Now the sculpting tool. What you can do with the sculpting tool is you can see what mode it's currently on. It's on stretch, and that just stretches it into whichever direction you click on. So I'm clicking on the top, so it's moving to the top. Click that piece there. They all work independently. I can click this side and it'll move that way. Okay, it moves that way. That moves that way, as you can see. Okay, I'm not in creative anymore, so I have to switch that automatically. Okay, so just any direction you want, to be honest. Okay. Now what I can also do with it is shift right click to change the mode. So now it's in stretch move, so now it'll move in a certain direction. There we go. Stretching and moving. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. And what you can also do is with the pocket crafting table that comes with this mod, if I just hold this button there, now I can use these 9 slots in my inventory to craft things. So what I'm going to do is just throw in the sculpting tool there, and it turns it into the rotate mode. So what I can do is right click and it rotates the entire block to any direction I want. So okay, there you go. Right click again to a different mode. This is the reset rotation. That just resets the rotation. I don't want that. Mold sculpture. What I can do with this mode is if I wanted to get the mold from any one sculpture that I made and to put it into another one, I can just right click and it'll give me the mold. But as you see here, it says not fired, so I can't take up the mold. Let's see, I'm just gonna do this one more time and it'll reset it back to move. Let's say I'm done with this. So what I can do is just let it dry naturally and it'll go, and I won't be able to use it anymore. But what I can also do is get a piece of wool. So here we go. Right click at the wool and that dries it off. Now if I try to move it using the sculpting tool, okay, usually if you try to right click when it's dry, it wouldn't allow it, but my game crashed, so really don't do it. But what you can do is get a water bucket. So get a water bucket and you can wet it again. Okay, there you go, and now you can sculpt it again. I don't want to try one more time in case I crash again, but actually, there we go. You can now, and right click with the wool, and now it's dry. So what I can do is just pick it up like so. And there you go, my project there. Now what you need to do next is you need to dry it properly. So what you do is you put it, whoops, it's quite large, so it's okay. Do it like that. Okay, that's better. Now you just put it beside one of these furnace heaters and it should do its thing. Okay, I accidentally broke my sculpture while in creative, so that destroys the whole thing and doesn't give anything back, so I just put another one there. And after you surround it with a furnace heater, you can see that it changes color and you can see it's fully done. So like I said, when it's left alone for a while or patted down with a piece of wood, it'll dry out and it can't be reshaped. The dry clay can be low fired by placing the sculpture inside several furnace heaters, which is what I did. And if the heaters have plenty of power, it will soon be fired. That only took a couple of seconds, but it was quite small. And once fired, you can glaze it by clicking every lump with a glaze bucket, and then you can just high fire it again. And as you can see here, it'll take a long time if there aren't enough furnace heaters. And making the glaze is quite simple, and you can use each one 64 times before running out. Most blocks can be used in the mimicking glazes, and the water and lava glaze can be crafted using the bucket with the base glaze. So here we go, the mimicking glaze, you can use it to mimic every other block. And I have the 2 blocks here. There's the water and the lava, so I'm just going to place the sculpture down, put the lava one, as you can see there, and the lava one. Okay, as you can see here, what you can do is throw in the mimicking glaze with any other blocks. So here we go. There is a mimicking glaze for the gravel. I can also do the same with wool. So I can get the block, the sculpture that I made. Here we go, and mimic it with wool, or with gravel, or any block that I want. So yeah, pretty cool. Okay, luckily I happened to look upon the crystallizer and saw that it was nearly done. So we saw that the chunk got turned into 1 crystalline gold. Kind of unfortunate that I only got 1, but I only seem to get 1 from this. And then you can just throw it into a furnace and get a gold ingot. So like I said, you have a chance to get from 3 to 4 if you're lucky. So yeah,